What some people believe me.
But what he's saying is, a 19-year-old girl and a young kid have got no life experience, and the coppers grab them, and so we're going to do this to you. They've got no hope on the street.
That's what I was going to say. Your options is to learn the Constitution and the law, which is going to take time. In the meantime, go to Dick Smith's, and for $70 you get a little tape recorder. As soon as they pull you over, say, I'm taping this. If he says you can't tape it, say, yes I can. I'm sovereign, you are not. You're a servant of me. I'm taping your conversation. So you be careful everything you say, and you make sure you follow the letter of the law, because when you break it, I'm going to sue you. The fact is, they work for a company. They have an ABN number. They are a sole company, that's all they are. All their authority is under the Police Act. They're not using it, because they're not police officers, they're not a police force, they're a police service. They're a company. Their authority is issued to the police force. One of the cases we won in Kalgoorlie, the guy was charged with driving an unregistered vehicle. And I said to him, when you get the cop in the witness box, ask him to hand you up a copy of the printout of the computer of your car. And as soon as he got it, I said, then hold it up and say, my car's registered, it's on your computer. The Act says you drove an unregistered vehicle on a road to whatever street, and it describes the vehicle at such and such a time, such and such a date. It's registered, here it is here. Licence is a tax under section 51, subsection 2 of the Constitution. I haven't paid the tax on it, boo-hoo, get over it, there's no offence. The only offence is driving an unregistered vehicle. Why am I here? The magistrate turned to the cop and said, you better withdraw this, look at the ramifications if you don't. The fact is, I told him what the law is. You too can do the same if you go to court.
What would you say, sorry Wayne, if you're a 19-year-old kid and you're on the street and the cop says, we're going to search you, what would you say for the tape, the young kids who watch this, do you say to a police officer? Exactly the same thing that I told you. If you're recording it, say to the police officer, you have no lawful right to search this vehicle unless you have reasonable belief that I've committed an offence. And my persons. Yeah, and your person as well.
Do you ever go down the straw man kind of side and say, well, no, it's not my name?
No.
No. So you stick with the law?
No, I don't believe in that system. I know the system exists. I know that they're using maritime law, but if you go into their system, they're going to chew you up and spit you out. I'm not saying the system is wrong.
So they've got no right at all in saying you're a different person?
Of course they have no right, but when you say that to a cop, you say you're a straw man, you're a fruitcake.
Yeah.
The issue is, we're under the Constitution. All the people are sovereign, we're under the Constitution. Stay under it. Don't go into their maritime law. Stay out of it, because in their maritime law, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. Under the Constitution, you are totally innocent until they prove you're guilty.
Can I add a bit to this, because I get the feeling there's young people here wanting to know a few points to use when they're pulled up, say by a random breath test. Here you are at the booze bus, you're pulled up.
Well, what I've got to say about that is compliance.
I'll answer my question.
Yeah, all right.
The first thing you do is you wind your window down 3 inches, no more.
Yeah.
Just enough to get a hand in so they can put the breathalyzer in to test you out. And if they demand that you open it more, you refuse it, because you don't know if they're policemen or not. This comes from civil law. You don't know if they're policemen or not, and so you're demanding that you're keeping safe from them. You're not stopping them from doing what they're doing, but one of the first things you must do is you must state to them, because you then set the pattern, you state to them that you are giving them 3 minutes to do what they have to do, because you've got the right to drive on the King's Highway. And they
under Section 92.
Pardon?
Under Section 92 of the Constitution.
Under Section 92.
Yep. Free drive on.
And then that means that in 3 minutes' time, if they haven't finished looking you up on the computer and so on, you've got every right to drive away, and they cannot stop you. I've tried it and it works.
I understand what you're saying, but you, like me, grey-headed old fart and get away with a lot of things. But what you've got to understand with kids, they're crapheads. Well, you're older than me, so don't get over it. No, I'm not having a shot at you. The issue is, in reality, when you're called up by the police, until you understand the law a bit better, take what they say. If they say you're not taking it, say, yes I am, that is my right. I will comply with everything you want, do it lawfully, according to your law. Tape it, give me a yell, I'll come and have a look at it, I'll show you the pitfalls. Next time, you can correct them. It is no point in me telling you, go out there, throw it all in their face because they're going to go, come here, flea, and throw you in the back of the van. That's where you're going. And they're going to charge you with drink driving. That is stupidity. You've got to use some wisdom here. Tape it. Give me a yell. There's several other people that are starting to learn. As soon as they learn, they can do the same thing. We'll listen to the tapes. We'll tell you exactly what to say next time. This is not me telling you to disobey all the laws. I set a goal in my life to uphold the laws of this country, the lawful ones. What's crept in is a heap of unlawful laws that have to be kicked out again.
You mean Admiralty law?
Admiralty law and corporate law.
Does everyone understand what that is?
Well, statutes and acts.
No.
Statutes and acts.
Yeah, well,
as opposed to laws.
Well, a statute is a law that's been stamped with a royal identifier. An act that's been stamped with a royal, it becomes a statute law. It's as simple as that. I went to a council meeting in Chapman Valley, just getting off the point.
But it's not under the Constitution, is it?
Eh?
It's not under the Constitution.
A statute is, yeah.
A statute is. Okay.
But an act is not. It's not a law at all. It's a proposed law by both houses of Parliament, which hasn't been approved lawfully under the Constitution.
So what is Admiralty law that they're using?
Admiralty law is the old Roman rule of law where you're totally guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So everything when you go into court, you're guilty. As charged. You then have to try and prove yourself innocent. But you've also got to sit and stand and talk in honour. Now who depicts that honour? The judge. He's the captain of the ship. You go on a ship and you go out to sea and you go on the Admiralty law and see what they do. Could end up over the side and there's nothing you can do about it. The rules of the ocean are different to the rules of the land. But we're not under the rules of the ocean. We're under the rules of the Constitution. A contract between us and the Crown, which is the authority for our law. Now, if you ever get done for contempt of court, always say, I want a trial by jury. It's a misdemeanour. The Constitution says you have the authority for a trial by jury. It is your right, no one else's. They can't take it from you. They can't sentence you there and then. But if you, in the High Court last year, HCA 29 of 2009, Lane versus Morrison, at paragraph 32, it says, contempt of the court is defined in a small area. It is a disregard for the authority and the procedures of the court. The authority is the Queen, the Crown, in right of the people of Australia. The procedure is found in Chapter 3 of the Constitution, which is section 71 through 80. And that's all your rights when you go to court. A judge is simply an adjudicator or an interpreter of the law in the case that's before him, between him and the people, in the case that's before him. That's all he is. The only real person who could find you guilty in a court, in law, if you plead not guilty, is 12 of your peers. That's a jury. They are trying to say, and even the High Court, I've read some of the decisions where they said you're not always entitled to a trial by jury. Yes, you are. But there's procedures you have to go through on simple offences before you're entitled to a trial by jury. Now, if you go to before a magistrate, and this is getting a little bit heavy into the law, but I will explain it. When you go before a magistrate, the police give their version, you give your version. If they can't agree, the magistrate cannot find you guilty. They are doing it. That's fraud. Fraud vitiates everything or wipes it out. That's a maximum of law or an absolute authority of law. But see, you start to get into heavy law then, that's the problem. But that magistrate, if you can't agree, if you do agree, she can say, you have found yourself guilty and sentence you. If you don't agree, she must then adjourn it to a trial by jury. They're not doing it. They decided they had the authority to change the law. But the only person under the Constitution who can find you guilty is 12 of your peers. And that's a fact of law. And it's in the Imperial Acts. It's in Act of Habeas Corpus, which is a massive act. All these cost orders issued